coming so much. And I want you to know that everybody here is speaking for several people who are not here.
That's right.
We got lots of calls to people today who are unable to come because of the humidity and the rain that was supposed to be coming. Their joints are swelling up, and we always have to keep in mind that what this program is all about is patients with serious medical conditions. And they're not always able to get out of their beds, and they're not always to join us. And that means for anybody who is here, our voices need to be louder, and they need to be stronger to represent all those folks, right? As you all know, Governor Chafee came out with his press release this week saying he will not issue those licenses. Our intention is to work with the ACLU and take him to court because he's in violation of state law. What is so particularly maddening about the governor's approach is that patients who have been speaking to him this week, coincidentally running into him wherever he seems to go, have asked him about the patients. What are the patients supposed to do? And do you know what his answer was? Oh, they've got caregivers. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? After all the calls that went to the governor's office, the hundreds of calls from patients saying, I can't get a caregiver, my caregiver's moving out of town, I don't know what I'm going to do. The hundreds of calls that he's gotten, he still says, oh, they can just use caregivers.
He said there's 2,500 dispensaries already.
Right. What? He referred to the caregivers as 2,500 dispensaries.
Fake talk.
So the man is not listening. It's as if he hasn't heard a word we have said. So we're going to keep saying it, and we're going to say it over and over and over again until he gets it. But I don't want to talk anymore because we've got some great speakers lined up for you today. We have some folks from the compassion centers here. And by the way, with all the federal threats that are going on, with all the threats that were made about against the compassion centers, we still have people who are willing to go ahead. We still have... And I got to tell you one more thing that doesn't get talked about a lot. One of the reasons that compassion centers are so important is we have so many patients who can't afford medicine. So much of our population is living well below the poverty level. We have so many patients who are living on about $700 a month. And they haven't been able to grow their own medicine, it's too expensive, and they haven't been able to get caregivers. All the compassion centers said they would help those patients. All the compassion centers said free medicine would be available for patients in need. All the compassion centers said they would have some form of a sliding scale. What alternative is there? I ask you. So I just want to give everybody a lot of credit for hanging in there, and all those patients. We have patients who've been in this program for years who've never had any medicine or a consistent supply of medicine. And
that's right.
Let's think. That's right. And if the governor isn't here to help those folks out, I don't even know what to say. I am dumbfounded. I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to turn it over to Representative Slater. I think you're all familiar with him. Where are you, Representative? As you know, Scott Slater is the son of Representative Tom Slater, who is the author of our legislation. And we are lucky to have Representative Slater continue on that work.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Thank you, JoAnne, for that warm introduction.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you for keeping up this fight. You guys, I said this last time I was here. We had a press conference, what was it, about a week ago, Tuesday? We had a press conference Tuesday here urging the governor to move forward. And I basically told the patients, thank you for being here, and I'm sorry that you have to continually come up here to fight for this important issue. So the governor hasn't reached out to us from our thing. The only thing he did was send out a press release saying that he wasn't going to move forward with the compassion centers. To our surprise and to our dismay, and actually to my regret that he did that. This is a law that as JoAnne said, my father had sponsored. He sponsored medical marijuana probably in 2006, I believe, and then the Compassion Centers was a way to distribute the medical marijuana, and that passed in 2009. My father battled breast cancer for about 6 years, and he was never able to use medical marijuana, but he knew the plight that many people were in. And especially one day when I came up here to the State House, he was being honored, I bumped into Ellen. And it was very touching that day. My father was receiving an award for his work with the housing. And Ellen had expressed to me her fondness and for my father and her appreciation for the work that he did. And basically she said that without marijuana and medical marijuana, that she wouldn't have been able to function in her daily life. And that opened up my eyes because I wasn't as much involved with his legislation at that time. But seeing the patient and hearing the stories have opened up my heart, and my heart goes out to all of you. And I feel terrible every time I hear the sad stories of how people are suffering. And I saw how my father suffered with cancer. And sometimes you think the chemotherapy and everything that people go through, it's amazing that they have this disdain for medical marijuana when it's something that can help so many people.
That's right.
So we would urge the governor to follow the law, basically, the state law that we have. I would urge the governor to go forward with the Compassion Centers, to rethink his decision and move forward with the Compassion Centers. And if he really, truly is serious about working with us, then sit down with us. Sit down with us. Sit down with the patient. Sit down with the Compassion Center owners, the people that are willing to go forward.
That's right.
And work out a solution. So I'm willing to work that out with the governor, and if not, then I hope that they could continue to go forward with the lawsuit. But I'm willing to sit down with the governor and work on the legislation. But I'd like to do it ASAP, because we waited long enough. The patients have waited. They need their medicine. I would like to thank you all once again for being here, and keep up the fight, and keep it up. And this is bringing this to so many people, and so many people need this medicine. So thank you for keeping up the battle.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ellen Lennox-Smith. I stand here in front of you with two conditions that create pain in my body. One is called Ehlers-Danlos, and Christmas sitting right there on the ground also happens to have our rare condition. And I also have a condition called sarcoidosis. I was at the press conference on Tuesday, and JoAnne asked me if I would share what it was that I read to that press conference. I started by saying, as JoAnne had said, we are confused, saddened, and frustrated with the lack of leadership of our Governor, Lincoln Chafee. He has now waited 153 days to make a decision that impacted our state. And I actually had written another speech I was going to do today, so I just need to add this because I came up with a new name for our governor. I guess like our former President Bush did, who decided that he was the decider, that Governor Chafee has now named himself the decider too. He's decided to make decisions for us, even though he's actually breaking the law. He is officially the decider for us.
That's right.
As we have heard, the governor now wants to have legislators fix our Compassion Center law so that the U.S. Attorney will be on board. Based on the GAP performance to date, we have no reason to believe that the local U.S. Attorney will ever agree to any change in our Compassion Center law short of an outright repeal. The feds are in no position to negotiate on this issue, and if you try to dump this back in the General Assembly, Mr. Governor, the decider, all you are doing is causing further needless delay while people like us are suffering. You, Governor, are demonstrating an appalling lack of leadership or courage for the people of our state.
Yes.
I'd like to interject something here. I was a former social studies teacher. I taught 8th grade. I taught the Constitution. I taught Rhode Island law. And I would like to just quote this to you. As a former social studies teacher, it's my understanding that it was the governor's responsibility to
execute the law as it is written, and it's not an option for our chief executive to not follow this process. But our decider has made up his mind that he seems to have this power. Where did our democracy go wrong in Rhode Island? Where?
Chafee.
Sorry. This governor not only is so dormant on other issues of importance. If you recall, earlier this year, the governor's legal team went to great lengths to shield an accused murderer, Jason Bloom, from being turned over to the local U.S. attorney for prosecution. The governor took the opportunity to explain his actions on behalf of the accused killer in an opinion piece, which is August 24th in the Providence Journal. I don't know if you saw that. I want to read to you the exact words our governor said, which should ring true for all patients like me who are waiting for him to take action on the center in a positive way. In talking about his actions on behalf of Jason Bloom, Governor Chafee is quoted as saying, "My actions are motivated by the obligation of governors to safeguard Rhode Island's sovereignty and the integrity of its law." The governor then went on to say, to voluntarily let Mr. Bloom be exposed to the federal death penalty for a crime committed in Rhode Island would be an abdication of one of my core responsibilities as governor, which is defending and upholding the legitimate public policy choices made by the people of this state. I suppose the governor feels that defending defending and upholding the legitimate public policy choices made by the people of this state apply only to murderers and not to the over 4,000 people that are sick like you and me. The governor went on to say, my involvement in this case is not about Mr. Bloom. It's not about the terrible ordeal of the Maine family, and it's not about my personal opinion or feelings. It's about maintaining and protecting the sovereignty and laws of the state that I was elected to govern. Again, if Governor Chafee is all about maintaining and protecting the sovereignty and laws of the state he was elected to govern, then why have we now waited 153 days for him to act in our compassion centers in a positive way, not telling us that they're going to be shut down?
That's right.
And finally, the governor concluded his commentary piece with his quote, "Leadership requires defending and upholding the public policy of the state of Rhode Island in all cases, not just where it's easy." He goes on to say, indeed, it is situations such as this, which are difficult and fraught with emotion, where we must stand up for our state's core principles. Those lose meaning if we are unwilling to do so. The governor's right. Leadership requires defending and upholding the public policies of our state. So where is the leadership? This governor was elected with 36% of the vote last year, and the majority of patients make up that 36%. We endured 8 years of previous governors. We endured 8 years of the previous governors who shunned science or publicly stated positions of organizations like the Rhode Island Medical Society. Governor Chafee offered us hope that we would be finally treated with that dignity and respect we were looking for. And we believe that science and medicine would frame his decisions instead of politics, fear, and bullying. Governor Chafee, we are the 36% of the votes that voted for you. Your lack of leadership, lack of concern for us is so disappointing. But you have a chance still to do the right thing. Please don't make us go to court. And please don't try to dump this back onto the General Assembly. Be a leader like nearly all the other governors in this country that have stared down the bullying and the threats of the Feds. The patients have had enough, Mr. Governor. Or excuse me, should I say the decider. What's his name?
Decider.
So I ask you, Mr. Governor, Mr. Decider, are you really with the patients, or are you instead with the bullies? Thank you very much.